Today's February 8th, 2021, and I have some pretty unfortunate news. I'm going to keep this video relatively short, but basically, what happened is that yesterday, on February 7th, 2021, GOP House member Ron Wright, he unfortunately passed away due to COVID-19 at the age of 67. So, this person, Ron Wright, he was part of the Republican Party. He was a member of the House of Representatives, and he was representing Texas's 6th congressional district. And he was a Republican that was representing that district. He was serving in that district since January 3rd, 2019. So he first got elected in the 2018 midterm. So he had been serving in the House of Representatives for just over 2 years when he unfortunately passed away yesterday at the age of 67 on February 7th, 2021. So he did die due to COVID-19 complications. One thing that's worth pointing out is that he was diagnosed with lung cancer a couple years ago back in 2019, and lung cancer definitely makes COVID-19 more deadly. So if you have lung cancer and then you get COVID-19, you're unfortunately more likely to get seriously hurt by COVID-19. That's the thing with this virus. COVID-19 really hurts people more if that person has pre-existing health conditions. And I guess for Ron Wright, he had lung cancer, and that's why COVID-19 for him was especially bad. He first tested positive. He first announced that he had tested positive for COVID-19 on January 21st. So I think just the day after inauguration date, the day after Joe Biden got inaugurated, that's when he tested positive for COVID-19. And then I guess just under 3 weeks from then, because it's been around 3 weeks since inauguration, since then, 3 weeks after that, almost, he unfortunately passed away from this virus at the age of 67. A very unfortunate event. This does mean that we're now down to only 431 members in the House of Representatives. There are currently 4 vacancies in the United States House of Representatives. There were 3 before the death of Ron Wright, but now we're up to 4 vacancies. One of the vacancies is a result of Cedric Richmond, who was formerly a member of the House of Representatives in the state of Louisiana. He started serving in the Biden administration a couple weeks ago, so he gave up his position as a House member and he started serving in the Biden administration, so that's where one of the vacancies comes from. Another one of the vacancies in the House of Representatives is because of New York's 22nd congressional district. So the reason why nobody's currently serving in the House of Representatives for this congressional district is because the general election in this congressional district this past November, it was very close between the Democratic incumbent and the Republican challenger. So the Democratic incumbent who was serving in this congressional seat up until January 3rd, 2021, his name is Anthony Brindisi. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but he served in that congressional seat from January 3rd, 2019 to January 3rd, 2021. He was the Democratic incumbent for that congressional seat during the general elections last November, but he apparently lost to Claudia Tenney, who is the Republican challenger for that congressional seat. But the reason why nobody has filled that seat yet, the reason why Claudia Tenney hasn't actually filled that congressional seat yet, is because the election was very close between the Republican and the Democrat. It was very close between Anthony Brindisi and Claudia Tenney. So, as a result, there were a lot of legal battles that were fought over who was the true winner of the election, who was the rightful winner of the election. It was actually declared just 3 days ago on February 5th, 2021, that Claudia Tenney was the true winner of this congressional election, that she narrowly won the 2020 congressional election in New York's 22nd district. So it was decided over a month after the member was supposed to take office. It was decided over a month after that January 3rd date that Claudia Tenney was the rightful winner of that congressional election. So that's why there's still that vacancy, because of the fact that that election took so long to figure out who was the winner. But the other vacancy in the House that was there before the death of Ron Wright was actually, unfortunately, a result of another death due to COVID-19. I talked about this in one of my videos, but at the very end of 2020, in the last few days of the year, one of the members that got elected to the House of Representatives in the November general elections but hadn't actually taken office yet, his name was Luke Letlow. He got elected during the November elections Actually, he got elected technically during the December runoff elections because in November he hadn't gotten enough votes yet to actually become elected, to actually get elected. But after the runoff elections for his congressional seat in December, he actually got enough votes then to actually be able to take office. But just a few weeks after the runoff election and just days before he was supposed to take office, Luke Letlow unfortunately passed away from COVID-19. And this guy was only 41 years old. He had never served in the House. He was about to start his first term, but he unfortunately passed away from COVID-19 just a few days before he was supposed to begin his term. So Luke Letlow is the first person to pass away from COVID-19 who was elected to the House of Representatives. He contracted COVID 19 and then unfortunately passed away from the virus after he had already won his congressional election. But unfortunately, he passed away just a few days before he was supposed to take office. But he hadn't actually taken office yet when he passed away from the virus, which means that Ron Wright was actually the very first person to pass away from COVID 19 who was an active member of the House of Representatives at their time of death. He's the very first person to have passed away from COVID 19 while serving in the House of Representatives. And I'm really hoping there's no other instance like that. I'm really hoping no other member of the House of Representatives passes away from COVID 19. Already, this virus has taken away so many lives, both in the United States and across the planet. In the United States, we're quickly approaching 500,000 COVID 19 deaths. And in terms of worldwide numbers, we're already at more than 2.3 million worldwide COVID 19 deaths. So I really don't want more deaths from this virus. It's already been a very deadly disease. This pandemic's already been very deadly. And it's only been 11 months since COVID 19 was first even declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization. That was on March 11th, 2020, which was still less than a year ago. Doesn't feel like it to me, it feels like forever ago. But now we're down to just 431 members in the House of Representatives currently. These congressional seats will eventually get filled by someone else, but for the time being, we have four vacancies in the House of Representatives. Two are a result of a person passing away. One of them is the result of a person joining the Biden administration, and the other one is just a result of an election not being able to finish up on time because of legal battles. The election was very close. It took a long time to actually figure out who is the rightful winner of that election. It was kind of like Bush v. Gore in that the margin of victory was very small, and it took a long time to actually figure out who was the rightful winner, but instead of being a statewide race, this was just a congressional race, and this congressional race actually took even longer to decide than Bush v. Gore did back in 2000. Bush versus Gore, the election was decided for Bush sometime in December of 2000, but this congressional seat, this congressional race was just decided 3 days ago on February 5th, 2021. So it took around 3 months, in fact, to figure out who was the winner of this congressional race after the initial election took place.